Landscape photographers, may I have your attention please? Creating panoramas has never been easier. Howdy all, in this video, we're going to be showing you how the new panorama stitching works in Zoner Studio. For those of you who don't know what a panorama actually is or how to shoot one, let's quickly cover that. A panorama is basically a wide-angle photograph. Take for example a landscape. Created by stitching multiple photos together, you capture the entire scene shot by shot and then merge all these photos into a wide image. To achieve the best results, it's a good idea to lock your white balance and especially your exposure while shooting. If the exposure changes while you're panning the camera, it can become visible in the final panorama. It's also better to shoot without a polarizing filter because that can create visible inconsistencies during post-processing as well. In this variation, you can see a city panorama. Here you can see the darker area on the right side after stitching because the photographer didn't lock their exposure. Now let's take a look how we can stitch the final image. First, it's a good idea to correct any lens imperfections in the develop module under lens and camera. That way, any lens defects aren't going to affect the final panorama image. Once your photos are adjusted, you can start stitching. If your photos are already grouped, simply click merge on the group. If you don't know how to group photos yet, check out this video and you'll also find a link in the description. But now back to panoramas. If your photos aren't grouped yet, no worries. Simply select them in the film strip or browser and click this detect stack icon in the navigator and toolbar. It automatically recognizes that the images belong to a panorama and then stitches them together for you. Now a window opens where you can choose which method you want to use for stitching the panorama. The preview itself may show some minor imperfections or distortions, but don't worry about that. The preview is mainly intended for comparing methods and parameters, and these imperfections aren't actually going to appear in the final image. We have three groups right here. The first is universal, the second is landscape, and the third is architecture. The universal group uses the spherical method by default. This method is ideal for stitching multiple rows of images stacked above one another. So it's a perfect way to handle technically demanding panoramas that you shot with your hand and didn't use a tripod. You can even create a very wide panorama made just from 3 stacked panoramas on top of each other. The second method is called stereographic, and unlike the spherical method, it preserves the shapes of the objects near the edges of the image, such as faces or round objects. And then we have fisheye, which naturally allows you to fit an extremely wide field of view into one image without stretching the corners. And is ideal for dynamic screens where preserving the content in the corners is more important than keeping straight lines. The landscape group uses the cylindrical method by default. This is basically the gold standard for single row panoramas. It keeps vertical lines straight and gives the horizon a natural look without unnecessary vertical stretching. So it's ideal for standard landscape and city panoramas. The next method is Mercator, which opens up the vertical space. Use it if the standard method cuts off mountain peaks or buildings that are close to you. And finally, the architecture panorama group uses the Panini method by default. And this method is absolutely revolutionary for extremely wide angles. It keeps vertical lines perfectly straight, and unlike the second method, perspective, it doesn't create extremely stretched corners, and that makes it ideal for wide city scenes and interiors. And finally, the already mentioned perspective method simulates the look of a classic lens. It keeps all lines straight, both vertical and horizontal, so it's ideal for technical architectural photography with narrower fields of view up to around 110 degrees. The methods we selected as defaults for all 3 categories, universal, landscape, and architecture, will work perfectly in 99% of your situations. The others are more niche or specialized options. So if you're unsure which method to choose, you really can't go wrong with using the default ones we've set up for you already. For all these methods, you can adjust the projection strength and fine-tune the output using these parameters: yaw, pitch, and roll. And here, the crop resulting image option is enabled by default, so the final image will automatically be saved in the correct format. Plus, you can also choose the resolution. And then all you need to do is click OK. The final panorama will be saved as the first image in the group in TIFF format, which gives you a high quality output file that you can continue editing in the develop module without any loss of quality. And that's how quickly and easily you can create stunning landscape panoramas. And if you're interested in more of the new features, check the video description for a link to a playlist where you'll find all the feature update videos. See you later.